Level 1, the candidate. You arrive thinking you're already strong. You've survived everything before this. Training, combat drills, endless physical tests that broke others around you. You tell yourself this is just another step. It isn't. The air feels different here. Quiet, controlled. No shouting, no motivation, just observation. You're being watched constantly, not for how hard you push, but for how you break. You run until your lungs feel like they're tearing. Your legs go numb. Your thoughts start slipping. But no one stops you. No one encourages you, because this isn't about strength. It's about exposure. Your brain starts to unravel under pressure. Sleep disappears. Time loses structure. You forget what day it is. You forget why you're even here. And that's when the thoughts creep in. You're not good enough. Everyone here is better than you. You don't belong. They don't say it. Your brain does. You watch others disappear. Stronger men, faster men, gone overnight. No explanation. And no one reacts. That's the rule. Silence is survival. You learn quickly, don't stand out. Don't be the best. Don't be the worst. Just exist in the perfect middle where you're invisible enough to pass. Your identity starts shrinking. You're no longer a person with pride, goals, or personality. You're a performance, measured, judged, replaceable. And the moment you realize that, something inside you detaches. Because if you want to survive this, you have to stop being yourself. And the version of you that makes it through, that's not the same person who walked in. Level 2, the operator. You make it. No celebration. No dramatic moment. Just a quiet acknowledgement that you're now inside. Inside a world that doesn't officially exist. Your training becomes precise, controlled, efficient. You don't just shoot. You learn how to eliminate. Angles, timing, movement, breathing. Every action optimized for one outcome. Finality. First, your brain resists. You notice it in small moments. A hesitation, a flicker of awareness. That target represents a person. But repetition kills that thought. Again, 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 until the hesitation disappears. Your brain rewires itself. Targets become shapes, movements, heat signatures, not people. And that shift is dangerous. Because once your brain stops associating action with emotion, it becomes easier. Too easy. You feel sharper, faster, more controlled than ever before. But also emptier. Because the more efficient you become, the less human you feel. Your world narrows. Conversations outside this life feel irrelevant. People complain about things that seem small, meaningless. You don't feel superior. You feel disconnected, like you're living in a different layer of reality. And the deeper you go into that layer, the harder it becomes to come back. Level 3, the deployed. It happens without warning. One moment it's planning, strategy, controlled preparation. The next, it's real. The environment is different, heavier, every sound amplified, every movement deliberate. Your heart doesn't race wildly. It slows. Focus sharpens. Your brain enters a state you've never felt before. Pure clarity. You see the target. Not a silhouette. Not a training dummy. A human being. For a split second, something inside you reacts. Recognition. Connection. That's a person. And then your training overrides it. You act. The moment is fast. Clean. Efficient. And then, silence. No dramatic reaction. No immediate guilt. Just stillness. Your brain struggles to process it. Because you expected something. Emotion. Shock. Wait. Instead, you feel nothing. And that emptiness is worse than anything else. Because it forces a question you weren't ready to ask. Why didn't I feel anything? That question loops. Quietly. Repeatedly. But you don't answer it. You suppress it, because acknowledging it would slow you down. And slowing down. Level 4, the veteran. You've done this before, multiple times. different environments, different targets, same outcome. Your movements are automatic now. Your decisions instant. You don't think, you execute. Your brain has adapted fully. Emotion is no longer part of the process. It's been filtered out. Not removed, just suppressed. You operate with precision that feels almost unnatural. Every action calculated. Every outcome anticipated. You are efficient, reliable, deadly, and your brain rewards that efficiency. Each successful mission reinforces your identity. You're good at this. Exceptional. That creates a dangerous loop. Performance becomes validation, and validation becomes addiction. You start craving it, not consciously, but internally. The clarity, the control, the absence of doubt feels better than normal life, because normal life is messy, unpredictable, emotional. This is clean, but there's a cost. Your personal life begins to fade. Conversations feel forced. Relationships feel distant. You're present physically, but mentally you're elsewhere. Always scanning, always analyzing, always ready. You can't turn it off, even when you try. And slowly, without realizing it, you stop being someone who does this. You become someone who is this. A machine built for a single purpose. Level 5, the team leader. Now it's not just your life. It's theirs. You plan missions. You make decisions. You choose routes, timing, execution. Every detail matters, because every decision carries weight, not abstract weight. Real lives. Your team trusts you completely, and that trust is heavy, because you know the truth. You can't control everything. The first time something goes wrong, it hits differently. A delay, a miscalculation, a moment you couldn't predict, and someone doesn't come back. There's no dramatic scene, just absence, silence where a voice should be, and your brain locks onto it instantly. That was your decision. You replay it, over and over, every detail, every alternative. What could you have done differently? The loop doesn't stop, because your brain is trying to solve something unsolvable. You carry it, quietly, because you have to. Your team still looks at you the same way. They trust you, even after failure. And that trust becomes heavier than the loss itself. Because now you know, every decision you make from this point forward carries that same risk. You become sharper, more controlled, but also more burdened. Because now it's not just about survival. It's about responsibility. And responsibility changes everything. Level 6, the apex operator. You've reached the top. Elite among elite. Your experience is unmatched. Your decisions trusted without question. You are the final version of what this system creates. And internally, you're fragmented. On the surface, everything works perfectly. You lead, you execute, you adapt. But underneath, there's noise. Memories that don't fully form. Moments that don't fully process. They don't hit all at once. They accumulate, quietly, until they don't stay quiet anymore. Sometimes, in stillness, they surface, not as clear images, but as sensations. Weight, pressure, fragments of something your brain never finished processing. You've trained yourself to suppress everything, and that suppression worked, for a while. But suppression isn't removal, it's delay. Your identity feels unclear. You don't remember who you were before this, or if you do, it feels distant, irrelevant. You've become entirely defined by your function. And without that function, there's nothing stable left. You ask yourself questions you don't want to answer. Was it worth it? What did I lose? The answers don't come easily, because this life gave you everything it promised. Skill, power, purpose. But it took something in return. Something you can't measure. Something you can't recover. And the most unsettling part? If given the choice, you might still choose it again. Because this is the only version of yourself that still makes sense. Doctor's diagnosis, the psychology of this life. Your brain was never designed for this. From the very beginning, it was placed under extreme pressure, uncertainty, sleep deprivation, constant evaluation. That destabilization wasn't accidental. It forced your brain to adapt quickly, stripping away unnecessary traits like ego, hesitation, and emotional expression. Then came conditioning. Repetition rewired your responses. Killing, at first unnatural, became procedural. Your brain resolved the conflict through cognitive dissonance, reframing actions as necessary, justified, even neutral. Targets replaced people. Efficiency replaced morality. That's how performance improved. But at a cost. Emotional suppression became your primary coping mechanism. Not because you lacked emotion, but because feeling everything would interfere with execution. So your brain chose function over processing. That created a backlog. Unprocessed experiences don't disappear. They accumulate beneath awareness, surfacing later as stress, detachment, or identity confusion. As you advanced, the psychological burden shifted. From action to responsibility. From pulling triggers to making decisions. And decision-making carries a heavier cognitive load because it involves uncertainty. Your brain replays scenarios endlessly, trying to optimize outcomes that can't be controlled. This leads to chronic mental fatigue. Then comes identity fusion. Your role becomes your entire identity. There's no separation between who you are and what you do. This makes you highly effective but also fragile. Because if the role disappears, so does your sense of self. Isolation reinforces everything. You can't share your experiences. You can't fully connect with others. So your brain adapts again, reducing emotional reliance on external relationships. But that adaptation creates loneliness, even if you don't consciously feel it. Finally, there's moral injury, not from one action but from accumulation. Each decision, each consequence, each suppressed reaction. Your brain wasn't designed to carry that indefinitely, so it compartmentalizes. But compartments aren't permanent. They leak. This is the reality behind the fantasy. From the outside, it looks like control, precision, power. But internally, this constant regulation, suppression, adaptation, a mind balancing performance against fragmentation. Because at the highest level of elite function, you don't eliminate fear or emotion. You just learn how to operate while slowly losing access to them. And that's the real cost.